Hi, Dave, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, Gene. Same to you.
Thank you. I know you talked about intensity, but this being players on the same team, watching today, it seemed very intense. What's kind of your assessment of it, and will you have to maybe tell some players, hey, dial it down, or will you kind of let it go until you feel like, okay, let's save it for the season?
No, we've got to put the work in. I mean, the intensity is something we've talked about our group with. It's you're looking at 7 practices before your intensity has to be full throttle. So if you're going to keep it under check until then you're going to be behind. So we want our guys competing hard. We got to. They've been playing summer hockey for a long time, so you got to get in. You got to make sure you're competing in drills and doing things right, and the details that we're trying to put in place. So I was very pleased with the work we put in today in both groups, and we'll continue to do that the next few days here.
Thanks, Dave.
Next question, Corey Warren, TSN.
Hey, Dave. Ethan Bear just talked about the Chicago series and thought that the team didn't have, the right drive in that series, and that the dedication and maybe the intensity that you've talked about was lacking. Is that the assessment that you have as well? And is that something that maybe your team tried to address with some of your moves in the off season, and the message that you're now trying to drive home here at camp, that what we saw in the bubble wasn't good enough and it needs to be better going forward? Is that a key message for your coaching staff right now?
Well, one of the messages we had to improve. We had to improve our depth and our skill throughout our lineup, and I think Ken has done that. It was obviously a slap in the face for some young guys. Ethan Bear is a young player. That was his first time in the playoffs, and he didn't play very well. Right, our whole group. We had a poor first game. First half of the first game, we didn't play well. After that, I didn't think we played badly, but we didn't find ways to win games. We didn't do enough. Take care of the details enough to win games. We lost 2 1-goal games that I thought we played at times. We outplayed Chicago, but they beat us. And those are the lessons we have to learn. And those are details, intensity at the right time, not getting some saves that we needed. There was a lot of factors that come into play. But in the end of the day, we lost, and those things bite. So that's why you got to show up with intensity this year. We've got to rectify a lot of those things and make sure we get in that situation again. We can come up with a better outcome.
Next question, Adam Cook, CTV.
Hi, Dave. Not exactly sure what the protocol is for this, but wondered if you can provide us with an update on James Neal, Gaetan Haas, Dominic Cahoon, and Devin Shore.
All of them are unfit to play today. Tomorrow we'll see where we're at.
Okay, but nothing
No, that's about all I'm going to say with it. I think that's what's going to be the standard line around the league is. There's you're going to have different issues that come up with players, whether it be quarantine issues or sickness or injuries. But unfit to play for everybody until they step on the ice.
Thank you.
Next question, Jason Gregor, TSN 1260.
Hi, Dave. Dave, I just have a question. Last year you had a great line where you skated up to Ethan Bear and said, knock, knock, opportunity awaits. Do you say a similar thing to Caleb Jones, even though he's had a few months to kind of know that Oscar Klefbom wasn't be here? Do you see a similarity in the two as far as taking an opportunity after a veteran's out?
Maybe some similarities, but Jonesy has a little more. He was around a little more last year, so he's a little farther ahead. But there certainly is an opportunity in front of Jonesy. He's recognized that. He's come in great shape, and hopefully he takes advantage of that. He's a young player that's especially in defense, that it takes some time to get your feel, to get comfortable out there. And now you can see he's playing as a confident NHL player instead of playing as a player just hoping to make the team. And when a player gets to that level, you usually get the best out of him. And he had a real strong day today, first day of camp. He was a good player out there. So I see him as coming in, and I know he's embracing the opportunity he's going to get, and I think he'll take advantage of it.
What do you like or what do you see the most potential in an area of his game to translate to being an effective NHL defenseman?
You know what? The thing that I see in his game, his strength and his talents continue to improve. But the thing is, a maturity in his game of when to. There's little things that have to happen when you do it, when you make a play, when you got to push the issue, when you got to just play the game, or just stay within the game, not try to overdo things. So there's a maturity in his game on the thought process that I think has improved, and it's made him a better player, and it's given him an opportunity to be a full-time NHL player.
Next question, Reed Wilkins, 630 Chad.
Thanks, Sean. Hi, Dave. I'll just jump in with a couple here. I asked Ethan Bear if he had any concerns about not having a contract by the start of training camp, and he said absolutely, because he wanted to get out there. I'm sure you've been through this as possibly a teammate of guys in the NHL and as a head coach, that sometimes there's a circumstance, contract or otherwise, that a player isn't able to go right at the start of camp. So in that context, how important was it for Ethan not to even miss, 2 or 3 days for any reason?
I think it was very important. I've seen situations in both, and especially young players that get thrust in a situation where they're not in camp, they get behind in a hurry, and it's hard to catch up. And so I was very pleased that the business of the game got taken care of, and he was here to start. I know in talking to Ethan this summer, that's what he wanted. So it worked out good for him and good for us, because and as unique as this season is, with no exhibition games, short training camp, if you get behind this year, you're going to be behind for a long time. So I'm glad it worked out the way it did.
And that was Jesse Puljujärvi's first official NHL practice since late February of 2018. A lot of talk, obviously, about what he can possibly bring and perhaps get an NHL career here back on track. From what you saw on the ice today and perhaps any off-ice interaction, what have you seen from him early here?
He's a monster of a man. He's a big man. I love that he's smiling. He looks like he loves to play, and high skill for a big man. And in some of the skates that have been previous here, I haven't saw them, but skating with the guys for the last 3 or 4 days, there was a lot of comments of how good Jesse looks on the ice, how happy he is. He's engaging with his teammates, so it's a good first step. But he was a good player out there today. Hopefully, continue to get to know him, and we'll see how he does in some situations. But he looked pretty good for the first day.
Next question, Tom Gazzola, TSN 1260.
Hey, Dave, in your eyes, just how similar or how different is this camp to the one we saw in the summer in the return to play? Because it's both abnormal situations. Is there anything you learned from or picked up on in that camp in the summer that you maybe implement into this one?
Well, the biggest difference is you have some different people. We've added people, so you've got a shorter camp, no exhibition games, but you got to make sure everybody's on the same page and structure and how you want to do things. So that's our biggest things. For the players that were here last year, there's a lot of review. We've tweaked a few things, which we'll continue to do. But the new players that have come in, they've got to learn everything right from scratch. So there's more work to do there. There's a little more preparation to make sure they're on the same page. But other than that, it's a short camp. You got to get everybody up and going as quick as possible, and it's going to be a challenge for this week. But our guys, I like the way we started today. It was good intensity and good focus. So we have to continue that until the start of the season and jump in there and be ready to play when the puck drops on January 13th.
Next question, Tony Brar, Oilers TV.
Dave, in speaking to Jujar today, he mentioned he's aware of the competition of ice time, and he's right in the thick of it. But he's also looking to build off a strong showing in the play-in series for him and his line. What do you need to see out of him for him to earn a roster spot each and every night?
Well, he's a big man. He's got to play with that strength. He did have a pretty good play-in during the regular season. He was an excellent penalty killer for us, but just trying to find some extra minutes where he can contribute a little more 5-on-5. So that's going to be the challenge for him. I've liked what he did in at the center ice in the play-on series, so we're going to have a look at him there. And he's got to find ways to contribute to the lineup, whether it's penalty kill, whether it's being physical or chipping in some points. So he's in great shape, and he'll come in. And I'm sure he'll be up for the challenge.
And just another lineup note, obviously Cassian skating alongside McDavid. He said there are 700 players in the NHL, and he's very grateful to have the one spot beside McDavid. How big of an opportunity is it for Cassian to rejoin McDavid on the top line?
Well, he's had some success there, and he's a big man, strong man, but he can make plays, and he plays with good skill. I told him today we were having a little conditioning skate at the end where the lines were doing laps together. I told him that's probably the only time he doesn't like playing on Connor's line, because Connor in those skates is a little quicker than a lot of people. So Cass is in great shape. He's come in, he worked hard today, and that line's had some success. Cass has had success with Connor, so we'll see where it goes for the time being.
Last question, Jack Michaels, 630 Chad. Go ahead, Jack.
Dave, can you describe how different it is in terms of the way you work the room? By that, I mean, getting to know some of the players you may not know personally, not just their game on the ice. Is it mostly game on the ice right now that you want to get to know right away, and you have to shelve some of the personal stuff for a little bit later on?
No, I think you always try to form some of those relationships, and especially, you're getting back with some of the players that were here that you have a relationship with. You got to touch base with them, but you also get to know a lot of the new players coming in. I have a relationship with tourists before, so that one was easy. But a player like Jesse, I've talked to him on the phone a few times, but it's good to get the in-person and get a feel for each other. And then you get them on the ice, and you get a feel for what they can do on the ice, where the chemistry is going to fit in our team. So you're right, Jack. It's just there's a personal part of it that I think you have to get them, know them as people, but there's also the hockey part of it that you have to know what they can do to contribute to our group and where they fit in. So that's kind of the fun part for a coach, because you get to know people, and you get to, one of the coach's main jobs is to maximize his personnel. And to do that, you have to get to know the person from a personal standpoint, as well as what they can do as an athlete and to help your team win.
And finally, just a quick related follow-up would be, because it's compressed, do you have to make a decision a little bit quicker than normally you'd like if you see something that's either clicking in practice or not clicking in terms of changing it up? Are you having to make that decision quicker than ordinarily you'd like to?
Probably, just because you'd like to have a couple exhibition games to at least see some things. So Ken and I have talked about that we're cognizant of those situations, because they have, whether it's roster spot or taxi or Bakersfield or combination of lines or defense pair. I mean, all those decisions are going to have to be made very quickly, and you're going to see some of it will. I don't think you're going to have for certain everything in place on the day you start the regular season. You start to get some games under your belt. You'll see where people fit, what roles players play in, who's playing well. The injury situation is going to be a factor this season. So those decisions are going to be, there'll be some decisions are made early, but there's some that are going to be made, and they're going to be open to change in a hurry if they don't work out.